So welcome everyone to the podcast of your new and joyous life. My guest today is Joel Salomon, and he will be talking with you about money. So Joel, um, who are you and what do you do? Tell us your
Thank you.
story. Mhm.
Thank you, Myriam-Rose. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. I am a prosperity coach. I shut down my hedge fund in 2016 to coach and teach people about money. I have a long history in the financial services industry. I started my career as an actuary, and you may know, Myriam-Rose, the difference between an actuary and an accountant. An actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you. An accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you.
I love that.
So, but I'm not a typical actuary. I actually look at people's eyes. And so I spent my first 7, 8 years of my career as an actuary, but my dream was to be a professional money manager. And I reached out to a lot of people to find out how to get there, how to get to Wall Street. And I got a lot of doubt, massive doubt, a ton of
Oh,
rejection. Everyone told me, don't do this. You have the best job in the country. Actually, the actuary was on the cover of Forbes magazine in 1992 as the best job in the United States. And I still wanted to do something different. I was making $110,000 at 27 years old. A lot
wow.
of money. In today's money, that's inflation adjusted over $400,000. I didn't want to do something just to get paid a lot of money because I was unhappy. So I decided to do my dream job, but it took me
Good.
15 years.
But you
And
got there.
but I got there. And so I
Yes.
achieved my dream in 2008, working at Citi as a professional hedge fund manager. And I
Hmm.
actually made money in 2008, made more money in 2009. And I tell people that I might actually still be working there today, but there was a law that was passed that said banks can't own hedge funds. And so we were all laid off, which
Oh.
actually gave me the kick in the butt to start my own hedge fund.
Hmm.
And I raised the money in 2013 and I started my own hedge fund that year. And I did it for about three years. And I had an epiphany which I can explain in a few minutes if you like, when I went to a
Please.
personal development course
Hmm.
and and I had the epiphany and I went into my office in Midtown Manhattan the next morning and I realized I wasn't doing my true dream. And I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my true purpose in life, which is to help people become financially free. So I shut down the hedge fund and I am now coaching people full time on money mindset. You may have heard the words growing up, and this is what I heard growing up. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on
Right.
trees. That's too expensive.
Correct.
Well, I think that's how most people grew up, and that's how I
Yes.
grew up. But I teach the opposite. I teach abundance and prosperity as opposed to scarcity and lack thinking, which is what I call that. In fact, my dad would scream at me if I left the light on in my room. Joel, we're not a shareholder of Long Island Lighting Company. Shut that light off. Right. And so I had that in my head for many years. And even to this day, I tell my clients that I still reach for the light here when I go down for lunch in my office upstairs, even though I'm going to be down for 15, 20 minutes and come right back up because it's so ingrained in me to shut the light off. But I know
Right.
that that's scarcity and lack thinking. So I teach prosperity and abundance. I teach specific money manifestation techniques, and I also teach how to help business owners grow their business so that they're generating a consistent, predictable revenue stream. And I also teach people who have generated the predictable revenue stream how to then invest their money properly I have in this book, The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, a 5-step stock screen, and I have a 7-step real estate screen in that book. So I teach stocks and real estate, as well as whatever anybody wants to learn about investing.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I know I heard the same thing growing up. Shut off the light. Shut up. It's too expensive. And in those days, electricity was very expensive. It is a fact. It's getting that way again, but for a while we
Well,
had a
I
break.
will say let's think that you can come up with the extra $5 or $10
Right.
by manifesting it. There's $475 trillion of net worth on the earth, and there's
Wow.
plenty to go around, plenty to spare, and we were born to thrive and not
Exactly.
survive. So when we have the mindset of there's plenty available for us, that's when the money will come to us.
Oh, good attitude. So I hope that anyone listening to this podcast, excuse me, heard you say that you were unhappy, so you needed to do something else, because that's what I do with my clients, right? Make sure they get paid for a work they enjoy doing so they can enjoy a more harmonious and joyous life. Very good. Thank you. So why did you do your recent TEDx speech and how to create many miracles?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. Well, the main reason is I want to teach people the truth about money. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs out there about money. And I wanted to dispel some of those limiting beliefs. So my TEDx talk has 2 specific techniques in it that people can use to move to financial freedom quickly. And I'll give one of them. So you do
Yeah.
do go and watch the whole TEDx. It's only 11 minutes. And as Myriam-Rose said, it's how to create money miracles. So the first technique that I recommend doing is to write down some happy habits, some things that make you happy unconditionally, because there's going to be times throughout the day or week or month where, as an entrepreneur or just as a general individual, you may feel some fear or worry about your money situation. And so and that's lowering your vibration. And so in order to get to the vibration of abundance and prosperity, you have to be way up here and in happiness and joy. If you're down here in worry and fear, you can't get there from here. So what I teach is create some happy habits, write down those things that you enjoy doing. And when you're feeling fearful or worried about your money situation, do those. So I'll encourage anyone who's watching right now to take a couple of minutes, maybe pause the video and think about some of those things. Now, it could be taking a walk in nature. For me, I like to go for a jog. I like to spend time with my daughters, Lauren and Morgan. My company name, Salomon, is named after them, Lauren and Morgan. I like to play ping pong. I like to play tennis. I like to be outside in the sun. I like to pet a dog, even though I don't have one. If I'm out on my jog, I may stop and pet a dog. So I may listen to uplifting songs. I listen to 6 songs in the morning that get me into a happy mood. But whatever it is for you, it could be meditating, it could be visualizing, it could be writing down your thoughts, getting those negative thoughts out of your head onto paper and releasing them. But whatever it is, have them as a go-to item so that when you're not feeling great, you can just put on that song and go for a walk and know what it is consciously that will make you feel better.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. And since we talked about your speech, what about your books? Why did you write them?
Great question. Thank you for asking. So my first book is called Mindful Money Management. And when I shut down my hedge fund, I realized that I had a book already completed, I thought. And it was my investor letters. I had written an investor letter each month over the 3 years while I was managing money for my investors, and they were about 10 pages each. So I figured I'd just put them all together 360 pages, I'm done. So I put them all together and I decided, you know what, I'll write a paragraph or a page about what was going on in my personal life in January of 2013 or June of 2014, and then go into the letter. And I did that. So it was close to 400 pages. And I sent it out to friends and family. And I got one consistent response. Please don't show this to anyone else. This is complete crap.
Oh.
And that was my mom. Just kidding.
Yes.
Well, that was the consistent response I got. And I had even sent it to a best-selling author who actually was kind enough to get on the phone with me and spend 20 minutes explaining to me why I needed to rewrite this book. And she recommended at least putting the investor letters in the appendix. And she gave me two options: either put it in the appendix or take it out of the book. And I was like, that's the book. So I revised the book and eventually it became Mindful Money Management. And the investor letters are not in the book. They're on my website for free now. And I wrote the book because I wanted to tell people my journey about how I became a hedge fund manager when I didn't have the experience. I didn't have an MBA in finance. And the idea is you can create your dreams, and if you have absolute faith in them and you have a burning desire for them and you persist, you continue, even when there's obstacles, you continue to go forward. So that was Mindful Money Management. My next book, I got feedback from Mindful Money Management, which was, Joel, this is a great book, but in each chapter, there's kind of a rule or a recommendation. And why don't you just make it a rule book? And so I took the core parts of Mindful Money Management into making the 9 money rules millionaires use. And my last book, Infinite Love and Money, I wrote because I had an epiphany one day while I was coaching a client. And I was coaching him to help him get his next job. And we started talking about finances, and I realized that we needed to talk about budgeting and where his cash is going. And I said, why don't we get a call together with you and your wife and we'll discuss it, all three of us. And he said, Joel, no, my wife doesn't deal with the money at all. She doesn't need to know, and we don't discuss it. And I was running the next morning. I jog almost every morning. I thought to myself, this is really inappropriate. Couples need to discuss the money situation. And that from that epiphany came Infinite Love and Money, my last book, which the idea is to end divorce caused by money.
That's a wonderful idea. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have any specific tips for our listeners when it comes to that or not?
I have one general tip, which I know now, and I just talked briefly about it, alluded to persistence. And wanted to become a hedge fund manager, or when I wanted to become a coach, things don't go in a straight line up, right? Like
Never.
obstacles, right? There are mistakes or
Yeah.
lessons learned. And so my tip is hashtag doubt the doubt. Have
Doubt the
faith.
doubt.
Yes. Doubt
Okay.
doubt your doubt or doubt the doubt. Have
Okay.
faith in the team. Don't have faith in your doubt. You know, our doubts come into our head and then we start going down this black hole of, oh, I can't do this. Have faith in your dream. You know, you're here for a purpose. I truly believe everyone is here for a purpose. In fact, my next book is called Purpose and Prosperity, that I'm co-authoring with a purpose coach, because I truly believe when you're doing your purpose, you will become prosperous. So I believe everyone comes here for a purpose with a dream. And then people, maybe family members, maybe friends who are trying to help us say, yeah, you can't do that. That's not possible. And they put doubt in our heads. And then we start repeating that doubt to ourselves. So hashtag doubt the doubt. Don't have faith in the doubt. Doubt your doubt, have faith in your dreams.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Joel. So, as we're coming to the end of our little conversation here, is there something you wish to offer our audience?
Sure. So I've created a online course
Yes.
based on the 9 money rules millionaires use, and it's called the Financial Freedom Blueprint. The Financial Freedom Blueprint is available on my website. I co-created it with Randy Wilson, and basically we go through each of the 9 money rules as exercises in each video. And there's also, I alluded to before, my 5-step proprietary stock screen and the 7-step real estate screen. All of that is in the Financial Freedom Blueprint. And we made it so inexpensive because we want people to have access to this course. It's a completely online course. You do it at your leisure. And if there's any reason why you don't feel like it's gotten massive value for you, you just let me know and I'll give you your money back.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Most generous of you. So, thank you. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today at your new Joyous Life, Joel. We really enjoyed your talk and your philosophy, and certainly something we all of us should, you know, desire to reach, have the same philosophy. So thank you so much for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you,
And
Myriam-Rose. I appreciate you.
you're welcome. Thank you. And I appreciate you, Joel. So there we go. Anyway, thank you very much for being here with us today. I'm sure you brought value to many people among our audience.